Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell and this is my review of Joker. Now this is, as of now, a standalone film in the DC extended universe of sorts. It's kind of its own thing. It's not connected to like any of the previous DC films like Wonder Woman or Justice League or anything like that. It's its own thing and it deals with its own version of Joker, its own version of Gotham, of Batman, and everything of that sort. Now, as you've probably heard, Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic in this film. If this guy does not get an Oscar, at least nomination, for his role as this character, Arthur Fleck, something's very wrong with Hollywood. He does a phenomenal job in his performance. He has this very disturbing air to him. He has this condition that he calls it, where he's able, or where he basically spontaneously laughs, where he's not able to control just random fits of laughter. And they put him in very awkward situations where he's having maybe a serious conversation or he's doing a stand-up routine. And he just all of a sudden can't control his laughter and makes for very difficult situations for him to be in, and he gets mocked for this. Arthur Fleck is a very down on his luck individual at the beginning of the film as well. He lives with his mother. He's very, very malnourished, and he is just not seen as really that important by Gotham City society. He gets picked on by kids, he gets beaten up on a regular basis. He's just in a very bad situation. And as you would kind of expect, this is a film showing us these events through the eyes of Arthur Fleck. We are seeing the things which occur throughout this film, such as murders and other events which occur throughout it, through his perspective. And in that perspective, these things are justified. And while they're obviously very bad, they're justified. And it's interesting to see things which you would have normally a far away perspective on, see more directly. And it kind of lives up to the idea that there's a reason for everything that kind of happens. And one element of this film which I really, really liked is that there are moments which are not very evident or clear right off the bat in which Arthur Fleck is having delusions. You see a scene or two happen which you think is actually happening in real life in the film, and then it ends up to not be true whatsoever. And it's just these really interesting scenes which really just add a large amount of gravitas to this character and make it a much more interesting look into his psyche, just as his world begins to more and more crumble around him, as he learns things about his past, and just you see just things both going well for him and then just things spiraling out of control on both sides of him. And it's just this really, really interesting look at this character who inevitably ends up becoming the Joker of DC lore. And I also really like the ties to the Batman mythos because as you probably heard, Batman is nowhere in this film because Bruce Wayne is a very young child in this film. He's like 8 or whatever. He's a kid. So it does have ties to the Batman mythos. And I really enjoyed seeing those spread out throughout the course of the film. Just kind of leading up to iconic moments. You see, at least in this timeline, at least, how connected the Joker and Batman are more than ever, because it's always been this synonymous relationship. You can't have the Joker without Batman, you can't have Batman without the Joker. You see that extended upon, and it makes for a really interesting dynamic to see play out. I should also probably mention Robert De Niro is in this film. He doesn't have nearly as big of a role as you would guess. Joaquin Phoenix is in, I think, every scene in the course of this film. But Robert De Niro plays basically this talk show host who's very famous and who Arthur Fleck looks up to. He's watched the show for years and everything like that. Robert De Niro also does a really good job. He doesn't really have a lot of character growth or doesn't have a major role, and he doesn't really have a whole lot to do until the very end of the film. But he's really fun to see on screen, and you can tell that he's not phoning this in whatsoever. He does a really good performance as well. In regards to negatives, I don't really have a lot, to be frankly honest. The only real thing I can maybe nitpick is maybe the length could be shortened just a smidge, but that's really it. This is a really well done movie in my opinion. It does have violence, and I have seen like the controversy around it, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't have that much more violence than other films of this sort, or even of this nature, where you have like this where it follows a character as they begin a life of crime. It's got graphic stuff like blood and whatnot, and some of the kills are kind of brutal to see on screen, but it doesn't really do a whole lot more than any other film, so I'm not really sure exactly why this one's getting more attention than others. Yeah, it's really good. It's probably in my top 10 of the year for sure. I think that, again, Joaquin Phoenix does a fantastic job and is Oscar worthy for this performance. And the movie itself is just really fascinating to look at and watch, and I just really, really loved it. So guys, those are my thoughts on Joker. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. What is your favorite kind of standalone, does its own thing film? Doesn't have to be a superhero film, but just kind of its own film, which kind of differentiates itself from maybe some canonical stuff, or if there's even anything like that out there. I don't know. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again. If you so choose, I appreciate it immensely. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on watching.